Hey everybody. So last time I finished up Y lookup, and this time in the last video, and then this time and then after that video I coded the z-lookAt. I also took a stab at figuring out how to avoid having the any um, having to declare it as an any and lose the strong typing. And I did, with the help of Chat GPT, come up with a fairly reasonable solution. I came up with a solution on my own, and then I fed it to Chat GPT, and then it gave me sort of a cleaner looking solution. So I'm going to briefly mention that, but I think tomorrow I'm going to focus on this issue because while it's not that big of a deal for me, it is a big deal in a professional environment because a lot of times the workaround or the solution for this would not pass your linter. So you would be stuck in a situation where you've written some code that makes the TypeScript happy but won't pass the linter, and then if you remove the code, it makes the TypeScript won't compile the code, but it will pass the linter. It's just one of those tough catch-22 situations that a lot of enterprise developers have to worry about. I don't know if I'll ever have to worry about that again, but if I'm not an enterprise developer again, I won't miss that part. That's for sure. But anyways, so what I was finally able to do is basically animate the look at position uh, for the X, Y, and Z position. So like a few weeks back, what would happen? I couldn't make an animation like this because basically I couldn't change the original look at. I would have to start wherever it was looking and then kind of work around that. But now I can change it. So in this example, um, like the X look at is for the perspective camera starting at 0 and ending at 5. So it starts off. So if I pause this, I'm looking at 0, 0, or 0 on the X axis. So across here, I'm looking at 0. But then if I go to the very end, I'm looking at 5. So basically, what we have is um, that is weird. What we have is like I'm looking at a wall and I can see the ball that's sitting here, and then there's another ball way up over here and to the right. And so now I'm sliding up and looking up to the right at that. And that is a capability I did not have. And so the Y look at starts at 0 and ends at 5. So it starts off looking at 0 on the Y axis. So left, right, I mean, up, down, it's looking at 0. And then it's looking at 5 on the y-axis at the end. Um, so it's looking higher up. Now, I don't know, like if, let's see, on this specific, if I change this to 0, I don't know if it makes a difference because um, it doesn't like make it blurry or anything if you're looking at something that's closer to you or not closer to you. So I don't think that in this specific animation makes any difference. But it does kind of make it easy to set, like I know where this is, so I know what I want to look at. And then on the Z axis, which is the new thing, I start off looking at 1 and then I look at 0. So, and again, it really wouldn't make a difference. Like this could be 0 and 0 because I'm just looking in the same direction here, and I don't think it makes any difference. It would here because there's sort of an angle. So if I make this look at, let's say I say it starts at like -5, and then so now it's looking at -3.7. So let's go back to 0, and now it's looking at the 0 on the X uh, axis. So anyways, yeah, so now it's looking at 0.13 on the X on the Z. Um, oh, okay, that's what I had gotten my things backward, 5 and 0. So like if I go farther out, I'm looking more to like sort of closer to where I was originally. 7. Now I can't see myself. Um, and then I think I started off at 1. So, so that does make a difference because it's kind of the way you're turning the camera, the direction you're turning it. Um, but on the Y, I don't think it makes any difference because let's go back to the Y. So let's say I make this like -10. Well, it does make a difference. So I don't know. I guess you just have to be able to think in you have to think in 3 dimensions to sort of be able to fully grasp everything that's going on. And a tool like this kind of makes it easier so you can just see what it would be. Okay, so if I change where I'm looking at, right now it's 1.3. If I made it like -10, then I would be looking at -4.5 on the y-axis. And then I could say, what am I looking at in the z-axis at 1? And what am I looking at on the x-axis? 0. Or, 0. So, or 1.83. So anyways, I think it's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with it. And that does conclude, other than a bit of cleanup, the z-lookAt, or the lookAt in general. So the changes I made were very, very typical. Basically, in the camera interface, I needed to add. Oh, let me look at this. So in the camera interface, I needed to make it a lookAt, make the lookAt a animation property descriptor, and give it a Z axis. And then in the animations, I had to I added this new supported animated types. I don't know if I actually ended up using that, but then I had to add the property, the z-lookAt property in here, or it wouldn't compile. Then in the ThreeJS, bunch of changes. Basically, since I initialize and create the camera in this cameras in the service, that's what I'm doing. Basically, just adding that. And then in the, I think, same. Basically, this is the exact same thing. I'm just using the start value instead of the z, instead of just the value, because now it used to be a number. Same here. That one was for the orthographic, one was for the perspective. And then what is this? This is, whenever you do an update, I just needed to change that it's looking at the start value instead of the numeric value. And then in the animation code itself, I had to calculate the speed and look at it. And it's basically copy paste from the other two. So that's all simple. We've gone over sort of these inside of the components themselves. You have to add the new stuff, so basically for the dropout, I needed to add lookAt, the z-lookAt. So that's why this shows up here, is because it's added in here. And then I brought in supported at. Okay, so this is where I brought in that supported type, so I couldn't remember if I was doing that. I also brought in these things, and I think, that was for the strong typing down here, which I definitely want to talk about that more in tomorrow's video, because basically this is the fix for the issue, the compile issue, that where I had to turn it to an any, and then I return it, and then I still have more of those to do. And then down here, I had to add the case statement so that it knows how to calculate the lookAt. These are just basically start value, using the start value, using the start value. Same here and here. So basically, updating it worked great. So that's good. I feel really good about that. It took a long time to get the camera, the X working, but once I got the X working, then the Z is just fine, and the Y went smooth as butter. So next is to sort of go over this TypeScript issue that I briefly mentioned before, and get rid of the any's. I think that's super important to do. That is definitely a tech debt with interest. And then after that, I'm going to start trying to animate the scenes. So that's it. Happy coding, everybody. Bye.